Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to make a video, and it's not in a way that I'm saying here just before we go any further, because you've probably seen the title, the thumbnail and such. I'm not sitting down and going next season, this is how Celtic should play football. I'm the tactical mastermind, I should be manager, I know more than Brendan Rodgers. I'm not making it in that sort of way. I'm just making a video on the kind of style that I'd like Celtic to play next season, how I'd like to see the rotation go around, how I'd like to see players getting used, and what, just for pure entertainment value, getting some goals and such, I would like to see the Celtic team playing, how I think Brendan Rodgers should go with next season, because we've got a big depth of players, we've got a pool of players, there's still transfers hopefully to be made, hopefully some signings come in, hopefully we see the likes of John McGinn sign, hopefully bring in a full back, a centre back, improve some positions on the field that can, just ultimately give us a fantastic pool of players to work with. But when you do that, you need to be able to rotate, you need to be able to have a tactic that suits the majority of players. Under Brendan Rodgers over the past couple of years, we've kind of stuck with the same sort of tactic, and Brendan Rodgers has always been kind of open about his tactics, his time at Liverpool as well. He's very, he has that kind of passing style, just ease the pressure, don't take the pressure, keep the ball, pass it around, move it, keep it going, that kind of thing. But over the last 2 years, formation and such wise, we've kind of seen the same thing. He's fluttered, he's tried with other stuff, he tried the kind of 5/3 at the back formation in a few games last season, having two up front. He's never really stuck dedicated to two up front, which is one very interesting point I want to talk about in this video, and something I feel very strong about for the season upcoming. But he's kind of tried it a couple of times in the first season with Dembele and Griffiths. We never really seen it work, it never really was a link up. Last season we've seen a couple of games where Dembele and Edouard played together where it was just more successful and it looked decent, and in pre-season he's been playing Dembele and Edouard up front together and it's been looking decent. So maybe something different next year. We've kind of always just kind of stuck to the 4-2-3-1, Browning and Cham kind of the holding midfielders, and then we'd have Armstrong, McGregor advancing forward, and we always have the wingers in the field. But I'm going to talk about what I would like to see next season, something a little bit different, something that may work, maybe too different, but who knows. Ultimately I think it would be nice and successful. I think it'd work, and it's for one key reason, and it's the reason I'm going to start from the front in this team. I'm going to put a graphic on the side of the screen here now that is going to help me just kind of describe what I'd like to see over the next season with Celtic. What I'd like to see is our regular tactic, and I think personally it would work, and I'm going to explain why I think it'd work, and what I nearly fucking ripped my own shit off there, and why I think this would be a good way forward for Celtic in the upcoming season. Now you're going to recognise one thing straight away. Yes, this is very, very similar to England's current tactic, which has taken them to the semi-finals of the World Cup. So, I mean, for the English fans watching who may want to talk about that and point that out, yes, maybe I have taken some inspiration from Gareth Southgate. But, there's a lot of similarities with the way England have played football and how Celtic play football. It's not always just going bombard the goal, bombard the goal, bombard the goal, sheer entertainment. They control the ball, control the game, pass, try and don't take any pressure, soak it in their side. It's very similar, honestly, and this is why I think this shape would be very beneficial for Celtic, and I think a lot could work. So what I wanted to start with, and I would love it this season, if we can start both Dembele and Edouard. I think it would be a fantastic partnership. I think it'd be goals galore. Both of them work off each other so well. It looks great. It looked great when they played up front together for the brief time they did last season, a couple of games. And so far in pre-season it's worked well against Shamrock Rovers. Yesterday Dembele scored, Edouard got a couple, I can't remember the exact numbers that they got between them, but two fantastic strikers we've got there. And now we're at the situation where Dembele is, I'd say, and I've safely saying I've said it for the last 2 years, as you know, I'm a massive fan of him, and I could be biased, but I genuinely do believe he's the best striker at the club. So you've got him in that position, but then you've got Edouard in the position where we've just signed him for £9 million. He's became our club record signing. So you can't really neglect him. You can't leave him sitting on the bench every week, but at the same time you can't do it with Dembele. But the thing I really like about two up front is the fact that it doesn't leave Griffiths out the team, because Dembele and Edouard, they can't start together week in, week out, 38 games through the season. As much as we'd love it to, reality is there's going to be niggles and injuries throughout the season. There's going to be fitness issues coming up here and there. We've seen Dembele struggle over the last year with that. So Griffiths is always going to get his spot in the team to start up front with somebody, because two strikers will have to rotate. So Griffiths would get his chance in the team, which a lot of people still want to see. And I still want to see Griffiths get his chance in the team. I still think he's a great player. I just don't think he's as good as Moussa Dembele or Hudson Edouard. But through this tactic, I think he would get a lot of time through rotation, and he could show his worth as well. So I would love to see two up front. I think they'd have a brilliant connection. I think they'd get a lot of goals between them. You know, it has the potential to be the best strike partnership in recent times at Celtic since, you know, Larsson and Sutton. We've never really went forward with two strikers, but I think it could work well. And, you know, with you'll see here, there's no wingers, there's no Forrest, there's no Sinclair. You know, you have that option for Dembele or Edouard to drift out wide. Dembele, I've seen do it numerous times. I've seen him come on the park and he's drifted wide a lot. And he's decent at it, he could do it. And for this tactic, I think it would work. And I really want to see two up front. I can't put it into words. I think we could score so many goals and so many more goals, create more opportunities, and those two really create opportunities for each other well. A lovely French connection they've got. I think it would be fantastic to have the two men up front. And behind them, I've got Encham, McGregor and Brown. Brown just doing his normal job, you know, control the game from the middle, be the captain, do what he does best, and that's run the game and be the leader. Sitting deep, you know, covering that back line. There's not much else I can add to Scott Brown. We know what he does. We know what he does best. We've seen his stats in Europe as well, for his interceptions, his passing. So he's a fantastic player. We all know it. We love him. And his role is always going to be the same no matter what you do with the formation. He's always going to be that man commanding the middle of the park. For Encham and McGregor, though, this is where it kind of gets interesting. So, as I said, the lack of wingers. This is where McGregor's new kind of adoption over to the left hand side would come very handy, because as we've seen towards the tail end of the season, Brendan Rodgers started to play McGregor on the left wing. So, you know, for that, you know, use of the left wings, because especially when it comes to Europe, Celtic really do rely on getting the ball out wide, get it into the box. And it might not get us a goal all the time, but it's a really key part of playing in Europe against the big teams, because it's how we create a number of our chances. And with two big men like Dembele and Edouard in the middle, we need to do that. And without wingers, that is difficult. But with McGregor playing there in that kind of cam role in behind the strikers, but in front of Brown, he can always drift out left and play as that attacking role in front of Tierney, get those balls in the box. I think he'd be a cracking job at that. I think, you know, filter between that left hand side and back into the middle. I think running that area of the park would be a job that McGregor could do very well. Over the last year, he's arguably became one of the best players in the team. He looked fantastic. I love him. And last year he was just terrific, whether he was playing in the middle or on the left. So I think he'd do a good job at doing that, you know, kind of patrolling around there, getting out wide, getting balls into the box. He's got a decent cross on him. I think he could fill that role. And Cham, not so much a winger type player, you know, you don't see him doing what McGregor would do on the left hand side, but you have the option for him to do that on the right, and we'd probably need it more on the right hand side, because Lustig is a slower defender who probably needs to stay back more so we don't get exposed, and Lustig wouldn't be able to push us far up the park as what maybe Kieran Tierney would. But Encham also has that option, couldn't go over to the right. Once again though, a Roman sort of player, so you know, he could do a job there. But you've also always got the option of bringing on Forrest, you know, take off Encham, bring on Forrest. Forrest can play in the middle as well, we've seen it in the past, and he filter that right hand side just like McGregor would do on the left hand side. You can bring on Sinclair, you can bring on Lewis Morgan, whatever. I'd love to see Lewis Morgan ideally start, but you know, there's a bit of time until we get there. But Encham and McGregor, I think, could fill that role, you know, get out wide when they need them to, get balls into the box. Both of them have got a cracking delivery on them. And behind those two is Lustig and Tierney, who have the job of, you know, being the fullbacks, but also acting more as wingbacks in this formation, because we don't have any wingers. Now, Lustig may not be as suited to that as what Kieran Tierney is, because we know Kieran Tierney can bob forward. We know what he can do. He's a fantastic player, and in Europe and in domestic football, he's shown that he can get forward and whip the balls into the box. He got that assist against Anderlecht last year, which proved that on a European scale. But we know he likes to go forward. We know he can do stuff. I'm getting a fucking blocked nose. Hold on. Struggling to remember where I left off now. That's what happens. That's what, when nature calls, it just puts you off. But Lustig and Tierney, I think, you know, you've got the option of Gamboa, who would be far more suited to being that kind of wing-back role. But Lustig, through the World Cup for Sweden, showed that he was a big part. And he'd done his job. And see, when Lustig has his best days, when he plays his best, he is a fantastic right-back. There's nothing wrong with him. It's just over the last year, he's showed so many glimpses of, I'm done. And, you know, arguably we do need a replacement. But we are looking in that department. So Lustig doesn't necessarily have to be the starter if we bring in someone who can be better. Right now, he's just probably the best option. I've got him on that right-hand side. But as I said, they are acting as wing-backs. But, you know, the more defensive. I think McGregor and Cham, as I said, can always flutter out wide and do their jobs. And finally, the three centre-halves, Dedrick Boyata, Dedro, as I have him down there, Chrissy Ayer and Jozo Siminovic. Now, as you can see, you know, that's three of the kind of five centre-halves we have at the club, Hendry and Comper being the other ones. Probably the three best at the club, as we've not really got to see glimpses of Comper. I still think Jack Hendry is very raw and still getting into the swing of things. So the three best centre-halves. Look, I would ideally like to bring in a centre-half to improve that back three, but, you know, it adds a lot more security as well, this formation, because we know what Dedrick Boyata can be like. We know what Joseph Sinovic can be like. They can be bomb scares. They can be shit shows. As good as they can also be the exact opposite. So, you know, having three... And my fucking phone's vibrating off the desk, Jesus Christ. By having three, it adds that extra security, there's another option there, and in Europe it would certainly probably help having this kind of back five. And ultimately I think this could be a great tactic. Obviously Gordon in goals. But ideally this is what I want to see Celtic do next season. Ultimately, I'm not the manager. And I'm not saying to Brendan Rodgers, look, take my advice, because he's the genius. He's the one who's won us back-to-back trebles. The guy knows what he is doing. No one has the right, no Celtic fan has the right to question Brendan Rodgers' tactics. In my mind, I think he has been spot on, and he's brought us so much happiness and success that no one really should question him. But just as a pure entertainment and, you know, intriguing side of me, I want to see this. An intrigued side of me. I would love to see this. I just want Dembele and Edouard to start, basically. But we're not going to play a flat 4-4-2, so this probably would be the way. We could play a flat 4-4-2, it just seems very past those days. But aye, this is what ultimately I'd love to see. What would you want to see next season in Europe, in the league, anywhere? What do you think we should do? What is our best starting 11? What would you like to see from the tactics? Let me know what you thought of mine. And aye, excuse that fucking dog while you're in the video. Like and subscribe. I'll see you all next time.